is removing dye from foods actually solving anything, or is it possibly creating more problems? Welcome back. This is number 6 in our series about food dyes. Now, we've talked a lot about the logistics of actually changing everything from synthetic to natural dyes. We've talked about, that we're actually going to up the allergen risk by using natural food dyes. We're going to raise the price tags. There's so many other problems that we're creating here. But what is it actually solving? Okay.
Right.
I am convinced that artificial coloring in food, synthetic food dyes, petroleum-based food dyes, whatever you want to call it, is a bipartisan boogeyman. Okay. And politically, food dyes are actually low-hanging fruit. And what I mean by that is this is something that has support from both sides, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. Both sides support removing dyes from food. Now, apparently both sides don't actually think about what that means long term and on a large scale, but that's kind of besides the point, because lots of politicians make promises that they can't possibly follow through on or keep. I mean, I'm sorry, both sides do it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But now there is no definitive study, but even at the highest estimates, it is said that only 25% of Americans actively avoid synthetic dyes in their food. Okay? Yeah. Only 25. And that's at the most exaggerated, highest amount. Most actually state that it's closer to like 6 or 7%. Okay? So now we're solving a problem for, let's say, even 25% of Americans, but we're going to force all 100% to do it just so we can appease 25%. Okay? That's never really worked out well in the past, so I don't see how this is going to work out well. Okay? Yeah. The second thing, dye-free options of almost every food that right now has synthetic dyes in it already exists. Okay? But can you name a dye-free food provider, like manufacturer, that is in like the top of the top as far as a food giant goes? No, you can't.
No, you're right.
Because not enough people buy those products. Okay.
Oh, yeah, no.
So if this was something, a lot of these dye-free products have been around for 10, 15 years in the market because that's how the trend has gone. If people really wanted these dye-free or these natural colored products, why aren't their sales through the roof? Why aren't they giving, why isn't some of these natural colored candies giving M's and Reese's Pieces a run for their money?
Cost, availability, cost.
Taste, texture.
Some of it's taste.
Yeah.
The taste is definitely different in the things I've had with natural dyes in them. Because
and a lot of items right now that use natural food dyes, they're always labeled as healthier for you. Yeah. The selling point of these products is not always the fact that they are dye-free. It's usually because it has added vitamins. It has a superfood, which, by the way, is a marketing term, not a scientific term. There are so many things that you are being marketed to that just happen to be dye-free. So those are going to raise the cost, okay? Yeah. So at the end of the day, though, for almost everything, there is a dye-free dupe already out there. And it's not doing as well in sales. And you know what? If there are items, we talked about in another video that one of the things that cannot be replicated in a dye-free version is things like marshmallows, like kids' cereals with marshmallows. And the reason that dye-free versions don't exist of them is because they can't make it. Either they've made it and it failed taste tests and, focus groups, or it did come out to market. There was a dye-free option of Lucky Charms. I believe it was made by Whole Foods, because isn't their brand like Whole 360 or something like that?
360, yeah. It's,
yeah.
365
they had a Lucky Charms. It was out for a couple years, and then very quietly it just went away. Okay. And people still look for it all the time. And it's just because it didn't sell well. Okay. Yeah. And you will see a lot of the issues in these dye-free. Like if you look at the reviews, they'll say, I wanted this because it was dye-free because, I love da-da-da. But the taste is wrong, the texture's wrong, because we've talked about natural dyes are so unstable. They're hard to get right. And if these healthier for you companies have not been able to make it happen for the last 10, 15 years, what makes you think that these legacy brands are all of a sudden going to figure it out overnight?
Yeah, true. And so I'm wondering, now that we're kind of talking about it and seeing kind of maybe, I think a closer comparison would be to take something like even a Fruit Loop, and then even within the same parent company, something that's similar, that's dye free, that's still within like an apple-ish, like an apple to applesauce, and see what those look like as far as like sales, success rate, like long-term purchasing power, and also the cost differences. Like I'm wondering because if you market something as healthier, natural, no added colors or whatever, if you're then increasing your price point on it, if that's because of the
Well,
actual production cost.
it's kind of like when we were talking about the Crisco spray of whether or not it had butter in it. And one
Yeah,
of the questions was, would a reasonable person expect a price difference between butter and butter flavored?
true.
Okay. So in this instance, would an average consumer expect something with natural food colors to be more expensive than something with synthetic food colors?
That's a good question. I mean, I would kind of, my brain says yes, like it would
Well,
be
I think that the fact that
reasonable.
you use the word natural instantly tells me that this item has better quality ingredients.
And that's
Not
perception
that
though.
that's accurate,
Yeah,
but that's the impression. Okay.
right. No,
And
agreed.
I will die on this hill, but you can take all the artificial colors in the world out of ultra processed food, but you're not making it not ultra processed anymore.
True.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
still high in sodium, it's still high in sugar, it's still high in saturated fats. Those Cheetos and Little Debbie snack cakes are not going to get healthier just because you remove the food dyes.
No,
They are
agreed.
still going to be bad for you. They are just going to look very sad. You are now going to possibly cry while you are binging on whatever it is you're binging because it doesn't have the bright, cheerful color. Now,
Yeah.
I am not a pro synthetic dye fan. I don't really care either way. I personally do not like things that are bright red and bright blue and all those colors, and I
Yeah,
don't
same.
buy them. What I have a problem with is, first off, we're not banning food synthetic food dyes. We're asking companies nicely to remove them.
Yeah.
On top of it, we don't logically have the capability to do that within the time span. Even if we did, we are now going to purposely raise the cost of all groceries because it is estimated that 70% of the food in your grocery store is ultra processed, which means odds are good it has some type of coloring agent in it, whether
Right.
that's natural or synthetic. Okay. Here's really the part that truly gets me. There are so many brands out there that already offer all of their products in dye free. Aldi,
Right.
not all of their products, but like their Millville brand and their actual Aldi brands are dye free. Did you know that the majority of great value products at Walmart are dye free? Then
Yeah.
Walmart upped the ante even more and came out with Better Goods brand, and all of those are completely dye free. A lot of them are actually plant based too. Okay. Target, Good and Gather brand, uses all natural dyes. Okay. Of course, when you get into like Trader Joe's and Whole Foods and natural grocers and all that, they're all dye free. So
Right.
are we regulating the food industry to now give us less choices simply for the fact that we're trying to solve a quote unquote problem that's not actually going to do anything?
No, I know. It's wild.
How are we going to make America healthier again by removing dyes? We're not improving the food quality. We're not improving the nutritional quality. We're not making anything healthier again. We are literally changing the lipstick on a pig. That's it.
I mean,
and it's just not going to be as bright.
well, it's quite literally it's a remaking of everything that we're familiar with, which opens up the door to like recategorize and restructure and like out of necessity and not necessarily because the system needed it, when you require that they remove things that are in smaller doses innocuous for all intents and purposes. You know what I mean? Like realistically, people eat with their eyes. The only thing that it's changing is people's perception of that item. So it's not necessarily changing the makeup of it, the nutritional value of it, the actual value of it financially or personally or for your physical and mental well-being. Yeah, it doesn't change it. It changes all of the back end stuff, which we don't see anymore.
No. And do you eat the packaging that your food comes in?
No, but it's going to be required that it changes because it no longer relates to what's inside.
Yeah. And think about too, like how many frozen food items you open them out of a box and then it's in a clear bag. Well, can't have that anymore because if light hits that bag, any colorings in there may change or degrade. Yeah. So I'm just saying, I want you to go next time you go to the grocery store and I want you to look around and look at your food products, okay? And look and see what comes in clear plastic bags. A good amount of stuff, okay? Now, here's the thing that I truly don't get, okay? Now, I am not one who identifies as a Republican or a Democrat or a liberal or anything. I would say the closest possible thing you can label me as is a conservative, okay? And if you want to look at that as a bad thing, that's fine. I'm just saying I'm pretty bipartisan. Like I equally hate both parties right now. Like I'm not a fan of either one. Okay. But when you look at Republicans, historically, they have been all about deregulation. Okay. So it's mind boggling that you have these diehard Republicans that are jumping on board of not just a government overreach, but a full-on stretch straight into regulatory town of our entire food supply and medical, like pharmacy, because you can't ban a substance in food and allow it in medicine. And we haven't even talked about how, like, food dyes in medicine work, okay? They have a purpose, okay? Whether you like them or not, that's not really the point here. They have purposes, okay? Yeah. And we can't just make these changes really overnight and expect all these different industries to jump on board and comply in just 18 months when especially our infrastructure is not set up to do so.
No, and they've made massive cuts to the FDA. So all of these things that are going to require new authorizations aren't going to be able to be processed in time.
And the FDA doesn't want companies, supposedly food companies, self-regulating. So let's put out a quote unquote ban that's going to require companies to self-regulate to comply with, that has no repercussions, that it's all voluntary. Like, I mean, can you get any more gibberish in there?
No. Yeah, I mean, you could, but do you want to? No.
It's just mind-boggling to me. So if you're a Republican and you want to deregulate, but not food and not pharma, like that doesn't make any sense. And then you've got you've got traditionally Democrats that are very concerned about climate change, about environmental factors. And we've discussed deep about how switching over to natural food colorings, it's going to cost more water for farmers. It's going to cost more energy to make them and the machinery and the storage. And then we can no longer use certain packaging. We're going to have to change up all the packaging. So all those plans to get rid of single-use plastic are probably out the door because otherwise it'll mess with our coloring agents. So how is the Democrats supporting this?
No, and we're no longer farming for function and to feed. We're farming for aesthetics.
For color. For aesthetics, yes. So let us know down below. What actually is banning synthetic food dyes solving? Is it making anyone healthier? Is it helping to regulate or deregulate industry? Is it helping the environment? Please explain it to me like I'm in kindergarten. what are we actually solving here?